to go ahead and call the meeting of the Civil Service Commission to order to show that all the members are present, as well as some honored guests. So,
Thank you.
There we go. All right, first item on the agenda, Fire Chief Recruitment.
Right, so we sent a memo out last Friday. Hopefully you have had an opportunity to review that, but laid out the process. It's very similar to what we have used in the past for both police and fire chief. So I don't know if any of you had any questions, concerns, anything that you wanted to discuss.
What is the market like for fire chiefs?
That's a great question. We're about to find out.
Yeah, I think we'll find out. I really don't know. It's traditionally it's a difficult position to recruit for. Very much the industry-wide tendency is to promote within. So to go out and get a large applicant pool would be pretty rare. But we have a very strong reputation here in Iowa City, and I suspect there will be quite a bit of interest just based on our reputation for the services we provide, the training we provide, and the investment and equipment.
I have no questions or concerns.
I don't either.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
You need a motion to approve?
Yeah, we need a motion to approve the process.
Move approval.
I will second that.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
None opposed? Okay. Second item on the agenda, entry-level police officer testing.
Yeah, here we are again.
Here we are again.
So clearly, we knew that we had staffing needs when we went into the last process, and that there were going to be a lot of positions that were filled right away from the existing list. We are at a point where it is clear that that existing list is soon to be exhausted, like real soon, I believe.
Right, we have one more background to finish, and we'll be offering that person a job, and then that'll be it.
Right.
That'll be the list.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that will not fill all of the existing openings, correct? So we need to go right back into another testing cycle. So what we are proposing for your consideration is we would like to kind of modify the process so that we are accepting applications essentially year-round and testing more frequently. We believe that we will be able to do a more effective job at recruiting if folks actually have a reasonable opportunity to be applying and participating in the process within a reasonable time frame from developing their interest or having a contact with someone who's doing some recruiting on behalf of the department. And so we just want to be able to kind of shorten down, the lead time, the application time, the built-in time to allow for retest opportunities. If we're testing several times a year, we shouldn't need to build in those retest opportunities each cycle because candidates will have the opportunity to reapply and participate in future cycles. So we're really just looking for ways to be more efficient in not changing the steps in the process, but just gaining some efficiencies in the time that we're accepting applications before we can actually launch into any of those testing steps that result in the certification of a list. So we would basically ask for your approval to make the call when a list is exhausted, to go to our existing applicant pool, set a deadline for applications for that active cycle, whereas we would announce, hey, an application deadline is 2 weeks from today for, testing to be conducted, in the next month, and then just kind of move forward in a manner that makes sense, right? If we're dealing with a smaller group, there's really no need to require everyone to come in on one day at one time for a big group testing event. If we have smaller groups, it will give us some flexibility to be a little bit more open to meeting applicants where their needs are with regard to coming in. We could do some small group testing for the post here. We could do it one-on-one if we needed to, but hopefully we can work with folks a little bit more get the testing done, right, and then move into interviews pretty quickly. We would still come back to the commission each time we had a list for certification and be able to kind of update you on how things are going. But we'd kind of like to try it for a year and see how it goes. We're optimistic. We think that it will be good for candidates, good for us, that it's new. So I don't know what questions you have. I don't know if I did a decent job explaining that or not. We're not changing a lot about the process, just kind of the timing that's involved in some of the run-up to it.
One of the barriers that I've noticed in just short time I've been here is the barriers are the infrequency of applications. Because I have officers come to me on a regular basis saying, hey, I have a friend or I know a person who works for another agency and just wondering when we're accepting applications. Obviously COVID and the things we're dealing with last year changed that. So I think, so when we can say we're always accepting applications, that will help. And then once we get a suitable list or a suitable number, it'll just make the process more efficient. We have, just to give you an idea of the numbers, as we sit today, we are 10 down. And that's with the 3 we just hired.
Okay.
We have 7 people on the list, or we're going to have 7 conditional offers. We just did 6 of them yesterday. We're waiting to get answers on those, and there's 1 pending a background. We have 5 spots in the January Academy. 2 of the spots we're giving conditional. One's a certified already, doesn't need to go to the academy. Another one's certified in another state, so she won't need to go to the academy. So even if all of those accepted and we hire those, we would still have openings after that. And then we need to anticipate some attrition too of our current staff. There's some people that have applications in elsewhere, and so we're anticipating a few more open spots. So we're going to be right back up to 5 or 6 openings before we know it. And that's in a perfect world of every single one of those offers that we put out. So,
Any downsides that you've considered to this?
I'm sorry, say again.
Any downsides?
well, considered we've never tried it before.
Yeah,
I
it's
think,
the unknown, right?
right.
Not that we've identified as, we don't have any identified concerns. I think that would be fair to say. We also recognize that this is a completely, well, not completely, but it's a new approach, right? And so we just don't know what hiccups we might run into as we kind of get into this, and that's why we're asking for a trial period. And so some of this, we're going to have to make adjustments as we go, right? If we find out that it's just not working to try to schedule tests on an individual basis, and we have to get back to doing a more structured, okay, this is the date, so everybody knows. I mean, we're just going to have to kind of modify if we see necessary. We won't change any of the steps of the process. It'll just be kind of the scheduling, right, of when those occur. But we certainly would not change the process, the steps that we've identified, without coming back to you.
So that doesn't change the process of, for example, certifying a list of 10. It just is how we go about getting there, basically.
Yeah, it's just
Sort of
kind of, it's just
different way
the
to-
idea that
yeah.
we're not going to come and say, okay, before we open up applications, let's look at this process. You know, it's going to be the same process over and over again. We're always going to be accepting applications over this year period. It's just, you know, that we're going to go ahead and move forward with the testing process and come to you as we have a list to certify, right? When that list is exhausted, we're already partway through the prep time, the application window of the next process. We're going to go through the testing, come to you. So you're going to be coming to meet to certify the lists after each time that we go through a testing cycle, but we're not going to be coming and going through this process before we would open for applications each time, because it's going to be hopefully several times over the next year. The list will probably be smaller, right, because we're not going to be spending 6 weeks advertising all over the place. You know, we're going to have the same pool potentially that we're working with. If someone is unsuccessful, we're hoping that we can bring them along, maybe have them, you know, reapply and test in the next cycle. So I would expect that it's going to look like maybe smaller, more frequent lists. But we don't know. Yeah.
I like the idea. I think there's some huge advantages to it. One would be I mean, it's always been a frustration where you have a certified list that is 2 years long, and you have people from timing that they get out of college or, their timing in their life, season of life, may not quite meet up with that 2-year wait period. And it's pretty discouraging for people who come out of college and they find that we just certified a list and they'll have to wait 2 more years before they even have an opportunity to apply. So that makes perfect sense to me to do it that way. My only question would be, if you have a certified list that still has candidates on the list, do you go ahead and call for another test? And what happens to the people that are on that list?
Once we test, I believe under the code, the prior list is, once we test, once we do the first test, then I think the prior list becomes null and void. So I think we would have to resolve the status of those people. We're not going to we're not going to certify names to a list and then 4 weeks later be like, well, we have 15 applicants and that's a good number to test, so we're just going to go ahead and kind of disqualify from them and make them repeat the process. So we're going to have to resolve the status of those folks, right? One way or another, whether it's through an offer, whether we confirm that they've moved on to other opportunities, because there's a lot of competition for the same candidates out there. Whether, the background doesn't work out, but we're going to do everything we can to put candidates that we really believe in on the list and to move forward with them, to bring their status to some kind of resolution before we go ahead and open it up and eliminate them from the process.
Makes a lot of sense.
So, a motion?
I will
Further
make a,
discussion? We're good?
I'll make a motion that we accept the rolling test cycles for entry-level police officers.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? We are good.
Thank you. So you guys are always so open-minded about being willing to look at things in a new way. That's really exciting. It makes us feel like we can try new things, so it's
I
encouraging.
think it's an opportunity to try something a little different.
Yeah.
Every process can be improved on or changed a bit, and it's a different hiring climate right now,
Yeah.
completely, so.
So we'll
I
learn
think
from
it's-
it, good, bad, or
yeah,
other. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much.
All right. Do we have anything else? Anybody? We good?
I think we're good.
2 big items and still 12 minutes
still
in. Still
good.
the most efficient board and commission in the
Small but
city. That's
mighty.
right.
Can I have a motion to,
I make a motion to
Good.
close.
all right. Ann?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Rebecca.